Hi, Richard recently posted, I think, a picture of me making some of these on one of his pages, and there were a few queries as to how I made them using the bits of pottery shards that he's found in various different places. So we just thought we'd just do a quick video just to show you how to do that. There's also a nice heart there and another butterfly. So anyway, first of all, you need to get your template, whatever that might be, whether it's a heart, a butterfly, a dove, whatever, just on some card, and then get some air drying clay, roll it out, pop the template on, use a good sharp cutting knife to cut it out, then make a little hole in it so that you've got the hole there ready to hang it up if that's what you want to do with it when it's finished. And then leave it to dry, which will take just a few days depending on how warm your house is, I guess. So here we have one that I haven't done, and I'm still trying to debate whether to do that side or that side, because all of these ones I've done that way. So I could do it that way again, or I could do it that way. Which shall I do? Well, here we go. So, right, we've got a selection of pottery shards here, which, just try and get them in the camera, which Richard has kindly allowed me to use. So that's what we're going to be using. And then I have these tools for cutting them. This is a good tool, a pincher one, for the really thick stuff. It really gets a good pinch on it, but this little nippers is much easier for doing sort of much finer things. So like with this one, which I think we'll go for one this way this time, the first thing I'm going to do is try and get a little bit for its beak. So you just literally, and it will fling off, so it's a good idea to put your hand around it, and it just cuts so easily. And then fit it in and then cut the next bit like that. And there we have a beak for our mosaic, like so. And then I'm just going to fill the rest of it in, and I will show it to you every so often as I'm doing it. It's quite a good idea to get some bits that fit sort of neatly round the edges, but don't worry too much. So here you can see you've got lines around the edges that fit in the edges, and then obviously it'll all be filled in with grout eventually, which will smooth it all off. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. Sometimes it changes a bit as I'm gluing it, but let's have a look at this finish, and then I'm going to glue the pieces on. So I think that'll be okay. So the glue I use is, which was recommended to me for mosaics, is wood glue. It's the Gorilla wood glue, and it, don't ask me why, but it certainly does the job very well and sticks it very easily. You can wipe off any that you get on the edges, and it dries pretty quickly. and it doesn't need to be an amazingly neat job because you're then going to be putting the grout on, which will cover up various bits. And we'll leave that to dry. And now I'm going to show you how to grout the already dry ones. So here's our grout mix. Now I've just used bog standard bathroom tiling grout, probably Home Base's most basic range, which is incredibly cheap. I usually mix up about 100 grams at a time with cold water until I get to about the consistency of toothpaste, really. The box says to leave it for 20 minutes before you use it, but I'm not sticking tiles on a bathroom wall, so I just use it immediately and just make it up as and when I need to make more up, rather than making a huge quantity up. Do remember that any leftover quantity, don't put it down your plug hole unless you want to block your drains. Put it in the bin. So let's get grouting. So let's start with in true Blue Peter style, one that I made earlier, that is already dry, not the one that you've just seen me making. So just a little bit at a time, and the most important thing is to get it in between all the cracks so that you've got no gaps. Don't worry about covering over the tiles. We're going to clean them off later, and anyway, when the grout is dry, it just wipes off with a cloth incredibly easily off all the tiles, so don't worry about that. The most important thing at the moment is to get it into the cracks and then around the edges as well. There you can begin to see it, the pattern re-emerging, but get it on nice and thickly, and then you can scrape off. Because we've used lots of different types of bits of pottery, some are thicker than others, so be careful you don't lose some of them under the grouting, but the thinner pieces, you might just need to check that they're all exposed at the end. And you can use your fingers. You see I'm wearing gloves just because it keeps my hands clean, stops it going up my nails and things, so it just is nicer to do. But yeah, I just use my fingers to work the grout round, fill in the gaps where it's happening. You don't want to mix your grout too loose, because otherwise obviously it just keeps falling out of the gaps and going everywhere. So we've got some water in just some of those. I've just cut up bits of old kitchen sponge to use in a minute. I'm just going to take the excess off now with a spatula. And I don't know whether you can see, but there's like little bits in there that I just need to fill in more, and some of the edges, so I'm just going to do that. Oh, the school run is back. So now I've smoothed it off, and I'm just going to wipe it off with the wet cloth like this, and you can see it just begins to reveal your design underneath, and keep going around the edges to smooth them off, and check that you clean off each bit of mosaic so that it shows through. I think there must be a whole piece missing because there's a whole massive bit of grout here, so I'm just going to have a little thing and see if we can find, there it is, it's coming through. You see there's a whole piece that was much lower and has just got hidden under there. Okay, so I think that'll do. I've just been smoothing off the edges, making sure there's no rough edges or holes. And then when the grouting's dried, you can then polish off the bits of pottery better and just get the last bits of grout off them. So we'll set aside that one. And then the one thing that you need to remember to do at this stage is reopen this hole on the back. So I just need to find something to poke through and make sure that I remake that hole through the grout before it dries. There we go. Then when it's dry and you've cleaned it off and everything, if you want, you can cut out, using your template, you can cut out a felt in the shape of the template and stick it on the back. So if you're going to hang it up somewhere, it's not hard banging against whatever you've hung it to, especially if it's going to be moving, like the back of a door or something like that, if it's got a bit of felt stuck on there. But that's, yeah, really the finished article. But obviously it needs to dry and be cleaned up.